Sportz podcast, brought to you by Reckless Sports, where our products enhance your performance on and off the field. Now, today we have our first ever podcast, and this edition is our Sweet 16 predictions. We'll be going over the bracket, talking about a few of the tournament or the teams and some of the matchups in here, and we'll give you our prediction on who's going to win based on who's already here in the Sweet 16. I'm Zach.
I'm Connor.
And yeah, let's get into it. So I guess we can start off going. We'll start off with Gonzaga since they are the.
First off, I think this is going to be a crazy Sweet 16. I mean, you see there's, as we have 4 double-digit seeds that made it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a record or not. That's something
I don't know, but
I need to look that up. See
there's only two seeds in it. There's only one 3 seed. It's Arkansas standing strong.
Crazy thing is though, there's still 3 of the 1 seeds.
I know there's the only one seed is Illinois.
Which I don't think nobody's been talking about that, but what, 2 seeds?
There's usually not that many by then.
No, but I mean, I think I'm a little shocked that we still do have 3 of the 1 seeds here in the tournament. I think the team that has stuck out to me the most, apart from obviously Oral Roberts, but I think Loyola has kind of stuck out the most. I guess because they just dominated Illinois, and I know I didn't expect that. I don't know if you did. I don't know how many people expected.
One of my brackets I picked on, but I wasn't expecting actually it to happen.
Yeah, I think everybody's just kind of. I think everybody's behind them because of what 3 years ago when they made that run in the tournament, made to the Final Four, which they could possibly do again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some interesting matchups on here, but I think let's start with Gonzaga and Creighton. I think that's one. Obviously, everybody has Gonzaga going forward.
I mean, I imagine. I'm gonna try to find it here, the matchup wise.
But I think nobody really. Obviously, some people picked Creighton, but I don't know if anybody was really strongly expecting them to get to the Sweet 16. I know a lot of people had UCSB beating them.
Mm-hmm.
I still believed in them because I didn't think they'd let another team of that caliber beat them after losing to Georgetown like they did. And we see Georgetown didn't even make it out of the first round. So they peaked a little early, but I mean, I think it'll be a better game than what most people think.
I think I'm having to go off other people's brackets at this point, especially on here. It's not really telling me the matchups, but I mean, on my phone it has them, but
while you're looking that, I'm gonna give them. I think the most interesting matchup out of all of these. I mean, there's some good matchups in here, but if I had to pick the most interesting and most competitive game that I could see, I think the most competitive game might be the UCLA-Alabama game.
UCLA has shocked everybody. I mean, they came in as a play-in game against Michigan State, and everybody thought Michigan State was going to make a run. But
I know I did not have them going this far.
I had Michigan State making a run, but it looks like it's the opposite team that's making a run.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and admit it now. My bracket was shot terribly. I had Illinois winning the whole thing in my original bracket, so yeah, that.
I almost shot the first day.
Yeah, after that first day, it was pretty much. I knew I was in for something. I don't know. This is such an interesting tournament this year because there was no regular non-conference schedule really for anybody. You had to play close teams, so everybody underestimated the Pac-12 technically coming into the game, and the Big Ten seems to be like they're well overrated outside of Michigan. And then, I mean, what, the Pac-12 has 1 loss, that's it, and that was to itself.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like
Pac-12 standing pretty strong.
And all of us are losing the game because they're playing USC and Oregon, and I mean UCLA might beat Bama. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting matchup, to say the least. But if you're not able to find stats, that's fine.
I found that I did find something pretty interesting that UCLA is actually a 5.5 point favorite over Alabama.
Are they really?
Yeah.
UCLA's a favorite? Yeah. Wow. I'm surprised, especially with the way Bama played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised. I mean, they did struggle a little with Iona, especially early on. They weren't shooting that great, but then they just came out yesterday, as we're recording, and shot lights out. I don't know though.
So we got the stats pulled up now. we can pull them up.
Let's start with Creighton and Gonzaga and see what we're looking like up there. They should
So
play.
they'll play on Sunday.
Yeah, they'll play Sunday.
We'll go them games first.
So I'm going to work down on.
I'm going to go down the game cast.
Let's see. Obviously, I'm assuming Gonzaga opens as a heavy favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they played really good. I was hoping Oklahoma could hang with them, but what the Timmy? I can't think of his first name. He was on fire. He didn't.
I think his name was Drew.
I didn't know he was even that good until I watched that Oklahoma game. That's really the most I've seen of Gonzaga. I've watched a little bit of him, but not much more. But he was killing it. And I know he's not the main guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got what? He's like the fourth option, maybe fourth option on that team.
They're one of their best players. Definitely the freshman Jalen Suggs. He's a powerhouse.
I don't even remember what his stats were that game.
I'm not sure, but what really stands out is Gonzaga averages 92.1 points a game.
And people are gonna say, yeah, they played Pepperdine, but I mean they beat people like Iowa and everything before the conference started. And you see Iowa's out though.
You look at their tournament, and they had 98 in their first round. They had 87 in the second round. I mean, they're still staying pretty strong.
Plus 90 or 90 plus.
And Creighton averaged 73. I mean, they scored 63 their first game. Well, their first game was Georgetown. They scored 73. They scored 63, and they scored 70.
I think we can keep it simple and go ahead and pencil Gonzaga in.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga's going to be a heavy favorite in that one.
Go ahead and move on. I don't see Creighton really hanging with them. Maybe they play like Oklahoma and, they're within 10 points, a little around 10 points after a while. But Gonzaga's just going to pull away. They're too good right now. And they might, I hate to say it, but they might pull off an undefeated season.
Yeah.
The USC-Oregon game.
And USC's actually a favorite in this for
64%.
But I mean, the Ducks have been playing really, really well here lately.
They beat the brakes off Iowa actually.
Mm-hmm.
Even granted, that was their first game, but
the over/under is 139, which isn't very many points for a game because the last game with Gonzaga and Creighton was 158.5, but that could be only half of Gonzaga scoring.
I think Oregon just scored 95.
Mm-hmm.
And what?
Yeah,
Iowa scored 80.
Yeah. Which Oregon, this will only be their second game, so this is technically.
What is USC?
USC scored 85. They beat Kansas by 34 points. That's one of the biggest losses in Kansas history, they said.
But I'm wondering if Oregon's going to follow up another. You saw what they did with all that rest, and they're getting another big break too.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's hard to say. I know Oregon.
USC beat Drake only by 16 before.
Only 16.
Right.
We're saying like that.
Once they go from beating Kansas, they beat Kansas, but then they have improved to 34 points against Kansas.
That's a tough matchup for me to pick.
See, Mobley, they both average 75 points. They're both even on the field.
And I think Oregon has a good center too, don't they?
I think they do. They do have a good center, but the person who averages the most is Duarte. He averaged 17 points a game.
But I'm wondering if that center can slow down. If they can slow down Mobley.
And then Mobley, he averages 16 points, 8.5, almost 9 rebounds a game.
I kind of want to pick the slight upset with Oregon over USC. It's a 6-7, but
yeah, I don't think in this case it's really going to be an upset with either of these teams.
It's about as evenly matched as I think it can be. I want to go Oregon. I know that's according to the
picking
stats.
But
Oregon would be the upset.
I just think Oregon's playing good at this time, and they're going to have a pretty decent break like they did the first game. And they're going to show up and probably handle business.
Then we got Michigan, Florida State. Michigan I thought LSU would give them more fits than they did, but Michigan handled it
just
well.
Away.
Florida State, what did they do? What did they have? I don't even remember who they played.
They beat Colorado by 18, which
Colorado. Who did they play first round? I forgot.
UNCG, they only won by 10.
UNC Greensboro. So
and I was a scare for them. They thought they were going to be put out earlier than, but
I think Michigan's playing too well.
Michigan.
Right, Florida might surprise some people, but
they did only beat LSU by 8, but still,
they
LSU drilled I think it was 5 threes in a row in that second half.
What does Florida State get per game?
76, or Florida State gets 78, and Michigan's 76.8. But see, Florida State holds their opponents to 53 points a game.
Michigan does, or Florida
State? Michigan holds theirs to 72. Florida State holds their opponents to 53 points a game.
Yeah, this is a hard one to pick. I think Michigan is playing so good right now. I don't really want to bet against them, especially since I did against LSU. I thought LSU would beat them. Honestly.
Dickinson, he's playing pretty good. Their center.
I got to watch. They look good.
I honestly, I don't think Florida State has a matchup to match with the center because unless the center gets in foul trouble, which he has fouled. He fouled out the first game and he had 4 fouls in the second. So
I think we go Michigan here.
I think Michigan's going to be the. Now this one is the most interesting matchup of Sweet 16 to me.
Especially since you said UCLA was favored. That
I know.
shocks me. Like,
wrong game.
Because the way Bama can shoot threes and play defense, it's if they're on, they're on.
Yeah, but
we know if they're off, it can be a bad night.
See, it shows Bama here, but it showed that there's like 5 on the upset or the thing, the other website, which it may not be right, but they average. I mean, their numbers are basically the same. I mean, Alabama averages 79 points a game, and UCLA has 73. Which UCLA really didn't play nobody. I mean, they played Abilene Christian, but I mean, Abilene Christian kind of they put Texas down.
Yeah, but they got a bad hangover game too,
Mm-hmm.
and we know Bama because we're Arkansas fans. Obviously, we've played against them and see them. We watch them a lot compared to the other teams. But the way Bama shot last night was good. It was killer.
If Bama shoots like that again, they're gonna roll pretty far, I believe.
And I feel like they come out shooting really good again because they had a rough game the first game. They weren't themselves. I think that kind of made it a little better on them. And Reese actually was shooting really good. He had like 5 or maybe 3, 4 threes, something like that.
Yeah, I think Shackelford had like 5. He
I
had
know
5
Shackelford,
with 15 minutes left, I believe.
Shackelford, I think, went 6 or 7 or 5 or 6, something like that from 3. Bama, I think Bama's defense might be better than UCLA.
Bama is on an 8-game win streak right now, so
it's hard to bet against them. And their last loss was to us, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
I think we go Bama. I don't think UCLA's gonna hang at the end, especially if Bama's shooting like they were. Now, if Bama has an off night, I could definitely see UCLA pulling off the upset.
UCLA doesn't have a center.
Well, Bama really didn't have
And
a
Bama
center.
doesn't either. And you know, teams that try to run with Bama, what happens? They get run out of the gym.
I think we go Bama because I don't think UCLA's going to be able to run with them now.
Yeah, they get run out of the
Could
gym.
we be wrong?
We could be wrong.
But I'm going to take Bama over the play it safe a little bit.
Now we got Baylor and Villanova. That is an interesting matchup. I did not expect Villanova to make it this far.
But
there's the leading scorer, or their 2 leading scorers.
Yeah, they have two of their key players out.
Which now they have a player averaging 16 points a game. And he's averaging 8.3 rebounds a game too.
Baylor. Who'd they play?
Wisconsin, they won by 13.
They handled Wisconsin.
Hartford, they handled pretty
And the
well.
only thing and I've heard a bunch of people talk about this, is Baylor struggles with great rebounding teams. I don't know what Nova looks like rebounding wise. Can you see the rebounds per game? Just team stats.
Yes, team stats, yeah.
See what the rebounds per game is, because everybody was saying North Carolina would give Baylor 50 if they got there. But obviously, Wisconsin blew the brakes off North Carolina. They were coming out.
Well, they average 34 rebounds a game, and Baylor averages 36. So, I mean, I know. See, we were talking about earlier in the first round. You know, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and North Carolina's. We expected them to win, but they got blew out because they're a great rebounding team, and Wisconsin blew them out. But and then you have Baylor that just handles Wisconsin pretty well.
And Nova took care of Winthrop, which I had Winthrop on the upset myself.
I did too.
Nova came out and shut all up. And who they just beat, Nova?
North Texas by 23.
Yeah,
which
North
Texas had a hangover game after that Purdue win.
The thing that makes me just want to go with Baylor right away is the rebounding, because I think that's what they'll have to do to beat Baylor. Because I think Baylor plays a little smaller than most teams.
Especially now. But I don't see Baylor. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Baylor pulls it out in the end, honestly.
That's what I'm thinking too. So we'll go Baylor. And
you already know who's winning there.
Obviously, now we're at the Arkansas.
Yeah, we're favorites, but you know what? We're going to go for the stat.
We are Arkansas fans, and
but this is a scary game.
Non-biased opinion, yes, this is a scary game. Oral Roberts, we've played them before. We held their leading scorer down.
I think he only had 9 points that game.
Yeah, Admis, and I can't remember the other dude that's high scoring.
O'Banner. He scored 28.
Those two have been killing it these last 2 games. Now, I expected Oral Roberts to have a hangover game, their last game. They didn't, which makes it even scarier.
Which we average. We average 82 points and they average 81 and a half a game, but their points forced 75 for the team, and we held our opponents to 67.
And the
Which
thing,
I know our defense is better because, I mean, you've seen their games they played. I mean, Florida scored 78 and OSU scored 72.
and the other thing to remember that scares me about them is they led us at half early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of were. I think that's when we swapped it up. We didn't have Vanover play as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the game where he struggled in the non-conference, because non-conference he averaged really good. He was like a double average in non-conference.
Which,
because the size, nobody was ready for it. But I think Oral Roberts handed that size. I mean, and they're not that big themselves, Oral Roberts. But
I think their biggest guy is a Banner, their center. Or that's he's their forward or whatever, but I think it's the biggest lineup they play, and I think he's like 6'7", 6'8".
the only thing, and the thing about is you're an Arkansas fan like us, is at that time you really didn't have Devo Davis playing that much. You didn't have Jalen Williams really playing.
Justin Smith was not at the point he is right now. Justin Smith is.
I think our defense is much better than
And
it was.
if you think about it, Justin Smith had 22 points and 17 rebounds in the game against Oral Roberts earlier in the season.
And I don't want to, and I sit here and say this, I just think we're, on paper, obviously the better team, and I think just the way we play will hold, I think our defense holds them.
And we have held our opponents to 66 points, Texas Tech, and 68 to Colgate. And
So we allowed 67 in the tournament. We've scored we've scored 68, and then obviously
we scored 85, yeah.
So
I feel like it could be a game where we could.
I don't think their defense can slow us down as much, is what I say. I think our defense is better. So
We're averaging 40 rebounds and they're averaging 34. But I don't see them slowing down Arkansas. They're on the bus is rolling right now.
we're doing pretty good now. I like our chances to get to the Elite Eight.
I do too.
Now we go down to Loyola, Chicago, Oregon State.
This is
Game
gonna be
nobody
good.
expected. I can say that. I think most people expected maybe Illinois, maybe Loyola, Chicago. I could saw that, but I think most people expected Oak State to be
I
here.
think most people expect Oak State for sure because, I mean, just Cade Cunningham, the way he plays, it's.
I know I didn't expect Oregon State to beat them at all. I thought, first of all, I thought Tennessee was going to beat Oregon State. I had Tennessee versus Oak State. Tennessee struggled late in the whole season.
Which, this is a big thing. I mean, they're an 80% favorite in this game, which.
But the way Krutwig is playing for Loyola Chicago, it's like he's the Nikola Jokic of college basketball right now.
And this is a good stat. Loyola's averaging almost 72 points a game, and Oregon State's averaging 71. But Loyola's holding their opponent to 59 points a game. I mean, they're playing great defense while they're playing offense at the same time.
So
Their rebounding is not very good. It's 32
Who's?
rebounds a game, Loyola's. But I mean, their big guy Krutwig, he had a double-double. He had all their rebounds last game, just about.
I think he's just he's a senior too, which I mean helps, and he has tournament experience. He made it to the Final Four. And I think that's the thing with Loyola Chicago. They have quite a few players that stay all 4 years, and so most of the players on this team were more than likely there for that run they had to the Final Four.
And they're a hot team right now. They're shooting almost 51%.
And I think Loyola comes out. I think it'll be a good game, especially the way Oregon State's played lately. They're on fire. But I think Loyola pulls it off in the end.
Yeah.
Excuse my handwriting. I don't even think y'all can see it, but
We'll show you guys at the end, but I mean, y'all kind of hear what we're going through.
I think now we're here at Syracuse, Houston, which I think most of us can agree Houston is the most overrated team here.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that good for a 2 seed.
They're picked 80%, but I don't think they're being very generous to Syracuse the way they've came out and played this
Syracuse has played really good lately. Houston has had some struggles. They struggled a little bit in the first round, but I think pulled off a pretty good win. I think it ended up being a bigger win.
31.
But they struggled for a while.
They struggled till almost the 15-minute mark in the second half.
And then who'd they play second round?
Rutgers, they won by 3 because they hit the.
That's right. That was a good game. I thought Rutgers was going to pull it out. I think Houston is struggling right now. Syracuse is taking care of business. Has come out playing really well.
You have
who
Bohan, the coach's son, that's averaging the most points. He had, I believe, 28 last game.
They came out, beat San Diego State and West Virginia. See, San Diego State's not a bad team. I think they were a little overrated. Syracuse has this habit of playing not so great.
Seed.
Yes, they're
I think they're 10. I think they're 10-2 as a 11 seed now.
As a double-digit seed, yeah.
Double-digit seed.
They've only lost twice, and that was, and I think they pulled it off here. I wouldn't even call it an upset, in my opinion. I'd say Syracuse. To me, Syracuse is the favorite, but obviously at ESPN and those, it's not.
According to the numbers, they're not going to pick them as a favorite, but I just don't think Houston's got more bigger guys.
We know one of them,
Yeah,
being Reggie
yeah.
Chaney, but I don't think he plays as much.
He's not a very good scorer.
No, he's great at blocking and dunking. That's about it. I think Syracuse comes out.
I just think the coach's son pulls it off, and I think Syracuse wins this.
If you want my honest opinion, I think Syracuse comes out and wins by at least 10. That's my honest opinion.
I feel like Syracuse handles business. I mean, they kind of they won their first game by 16. They kind of had a hangover game against West Virginia when they won by 3. Because, I mean, they didn't look other than Boham, the coach's son, they did not look very well. But
I think so we have for our Elite Eight, we have Gonzaga versus Oregon, Michigan versus Bama, Baylor versus Arkansas, and Loyola Chicago versus Syracuse. I think that's real realistic. I mean, obviously they're all realistic because they're all in the Sweet 16. But I think this will be close.
I think most people pick Michigan and Bama coming out of their region.
I'm pretty sure.
And I imagine Gonzaga was coming out of everyone's region for sure out of the West. I see the only region I see that people had trouble with was the Midwest.
Oh, Midwest was screwed so much.
Midwest kind of threw it off.
South was a little bad too because a lot of people had Ohio State.
Yeah. At
least getting to the Sweet 16. I know I had us getting to them against them in the Sweet 16, but I had us beating them. But now these matchups won't take as much time on because we kind of talked about each team a little bit already. We have Gonzaga versus Oregon. I think Oregon could scare them, but
I think it could be a game that could go into overtime. Honestly, even
I just still think Gonzaga is the better team and that they come out on top.
Yeah.
It's hard to bet against them. I wanted to bet against them before the tournament started, but the way they played these last 2 games,
it's very, very hard to beat.
So I think we have Gonzaga moving on. I think we can all agree on that because the way they're playing right now.
Now this is a tough matchup.
Michigan Bama, I think would be probably the best game of this round, maybe. Especially if you're going by talent and everything. Michigan plays bigger than Bama. I think they play a little slower as well. They don't like to run as much as Bama does. We obviously Bama defense threes and under the rim.
Which we did learn for Michigan though. They can run if they need to because I mean LSU tried to speed them up and we saw what happened.
They came out and handled it. And I think Bama is just. They don't live and die by the 3, but if they're not hitting threes, their chances of winning significantly decreases. I mean, they can hang in there if they're hitting their layups around the rim. They don't take mid-range, and as long as their defense is on point. But I just think Michigan's too talented. If Bama has a bad game from 3, Michigan comes out on top.
I just think Bama they don't keep the trend I don't think they can live by the 3 much longer. I don't see them moving past Michigan just for the fact that the center from Michigan, he's a freshman. He's insane for a freshman.
Yeah, I have Michigan winning that one as well, which sets up a great matchup between Gonzaga and Michigan.
Yeah.
Now we'll come over here to the south. We got Baylor, Arkansas, a game that I'm a little worried about for us, obviously, but I think it's going to be a good matchup. They said, rebounding teams can hurt Baylor. Arkansas can be a great rebounding team. We struggled early in the half against Texas Tech the first half, but then we came out the second half and it felt like every rebound.
Yeah, whatever that halftime speech was, definitely got to the players because they did not let one rebound get away from them in the second half.
And the one thing I worry about here as an Arkansas fan is, first of all, I guess this goes back to the Oral Roberts game too, is the goal was a Sweet 16 for that team, and I don't want it to be a hangover game for Arkansas as well. I don't think it will be. I think Musselman is a great coach, and he gets to his team. I don't think the players will let it happen.
I think he has
They're pretty composed to be as young and inexperienced as they are.
Though we started 3 freshmen last game, and in the round of 32 to make history to go back to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 25 years.
But again, we're going against a really good Baylor team, which they can. What do they average? What are they points in defense? I want to see. If they struggle to score, I think that kind of helps us a little bit. I know our stats, since I don't need to look those up. Yeah. You know the Baylor a little bit.
They average 83 points a game. We average about the same as them.
So
but they're holding their opponents to 59. That defense shows.
Yeah, but our defense turned up later in the season.
Yeah.
And I
believe these stats are from the tournament as well, though. Not for the season because you got 63 and Harvard only scored 55 against them. So, that's a 59 average in between.
It might be. I think it's probably going to be a better matchup than most people think. And honestly, I could see Arkansas winning. I could see Baylor winning. And I think whoever wins this game probably makes it to the championship game, in my honest opinion.
That's what I think. I think this determines who comes out of this side of the bracket as South and Midwest to the championship.
I don't want to sound like a homer, but I obviously want to go Arkansas. I think they have the talent to beat them.
I think Arkansas, even with that, they're a more experienced, older team, of course. They have like 3 seniors to start, but the way that Arkansas is playing right now, and I mean, we have 3 freshmen that started that look like they're seniors. Looks like they've been this stage. I just see.
I want to go Arkansas. If you want to go Arkansas, I'm down to ride Arkansas.
I'm thinking Arkansas. Okay. I mean, I think it's going to be a very good. This is going to determine who makes the national championship. I believe on this side of the bracket.
Then we go to Loyola and Syracuse.
This is a great matchup as well.
I think this will be. I just want to be blunt and go ahead and give you an answer. I do think Loyola comes out and wins this game.
I do too.
Because I don't know what it is about them this season. They seem like they're so much better than an 8 seed.
I know.
Like, it doesn't seem like they're a normal 8 seed.
I think they should at least
be they dominated
like a 4 seed. They've dominated every team they've played.
And there was no doubt in your mind. Like, I don't think they trailed against Illinois was a herd.
Yeah,
we get to watch all that
game pretty handily too.
I think we just keep it short and sweet. I think we go Loyola.
I think Loyola.
So we'll go Loyola. Then
Syracuse had a great run, but
Final
I just don't think they
Four.
get past that.
Final 4, we have Gonzaga, Michigan, and Arkansas Loyola. We have I guess, would probably seem like the best matchup, which I think it is, Gonzaga versus Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of already know where I want to go with this one, but I want to see where you want to go. I want to go. I'll tell you where I want to go after this.
I'm thinking this is a really good matchup. Gonzaga doesn't play very big. I mean, they do have big guys, but Gonzaga can shoot really well. We know that, and they don't take stupid shots. They play really smart, and they have really good defense. Overall, they're just definitely one of the best teams in the nation, but I don't know.
I think the second best team in the nation might be Michigan. Some can argue Baylor, but I think Michigan's the second best team. When they were seeding, I think Michigan should have been the second best 1 seed. I don't know if they were, but
I just have a feeling about Michigan in this.
That's what I'm thinking. I have Michigan upset. I don't think Gonzaga goes the undefeated. I've said that from the tournament start. I just don't see it happening. It could very well, and this is essentially like a 55-45, 60-40 game to me. Mm-hmm. But I'm leaning Michigan, and
I don't think Michigan. I think Gonzaga doesn't pull off the undefeated season.
And I think it'll be a great game to watch. I'm excited to watch that one actually. Then we got Arkansas and Loyola. This is, again, it can be tough for Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I got to say about this is we find ways to win.
We do.
And even if the set or the fit is not to us, it's because we have 10 guys that can. He likes to rotate about 7, but we have 10 guys that can play if we have to.
Yeah.
Matchup wise. You have Connor Vanover, who didn't play at all against Texas Tech.
He's
but given the right matchup, he can play a game. And
he's a tower among men, basically.
7'3". He just looks tall out there. He makes everybody tiny.
I just honestly feel, like we said before, the person that comes out of the Baylor and Arkansas game, it may not be Arkansas, it may be Baylor. But I just think it's the winner of that game.
And we could be completely wrong here, but
we could be. But
I just feel like their run stops there, Loyola. The momentum kind of dies down again because they make it to the final. I feel like the Final Four might be like their sticky point. Like it's hard to get past that for them. And if Arkansas does this, obviously we're going to be ecstatic.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, for the championship game, we have Michigan Arkansas. I have Michigan winning that.
Yeah,
I think we run out of luck, and not necessarily all luck, but I think we're just getting
one great season for sure. But I just feel like Michigan, they're big guys, very, very good as a freshman. They have a really good point guard. They're just overall sound.
Like I said, this is unpredictable, and we're liable to be wrong on every pick here for all we know after when this weekend, Saturday and Sunday gets here. But we wanted to sit here and go through this, and we thought, what better way to kick off our podcast than start right here with the Sweet 16.
Especially that Arkansas, our team's in it,
Yeah, it kind of makes it a little more fun to do. And hey, it's March Madness; anything can happen, and we're liable to see UCLA win the whole thing for all we know.
Might see
or Roberts. I mean,
at this point, you might see Oral Roberts versus UCLA, the 2 high seeds on each side of the bracket. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a crazy year for the tournament, and I did my best to predict it. I feel like everybody's going to say we're a little bit of a homer for going Arkansas to the championship. It might be a little bit, but obviously we watched them play the most. I don't get to watch all the other teams as much. But I think
I like our matchups with the team. I like the bracket we came out and the way it's setting up for us.
It's set up really well. And if Villanova somehow pulls off the upset and beats Baylor, I feel like we have that matchup I think we're better matched up against them as well, which would put us in the Final Four again too. Been a while since we've been there. Been a while since we've been to the Sweet 16. Michigan, I'm not sure about, but obviously Michigan's been a powerhouse.
I think they made it.
The last Big Ten. That would be the irony too. The Big Ten has sucked in the tournament, but the one team that stays, Michigan wins it. That'd be the ironic part to it. I think that could happen.
Every Big Ten team is, out at this point other than them.
Yep. So yeah, I think that would be our bracket prediction. Michigan win the whole thing. Like I said, Gonzaga might very well make the undefeated season. Obviously, last time that happened was when Duke and Kentucky weren't in the tournament, and they're in it this year. And yeah, that could be the whole deal.
Honestly, though, just looking at it, I could see the way all these teams, 16 teams are playing. Anybody could win them at this point. Everybody's come out to play.
Yeah, it's been a great tournament. I've enjoyed watching it this year, especially after missing it last year.
Yeah.
Didn't realize how much I'd love to watch it this year, but I loved it. Is there anything that you want to touch about any of this?
I think that's about it.
I think that's where we'll wrap up this episode of our first official episode of the Reckless Sports podcast. We will have a link in the description to go to our website. We're just starting our brand and this podcast, and we will have all kinds of sports and hunting, fishing, you name it, anything outdoors related will be on that website. We will eventually be having merchandise to be sold on there of Reckless Sports. There's the podcast. There's not links as of right now, but there is the YouTube and Spotify version of the podcast can be seen on the website, and you can just go to YouTube, search Reckless Sports with a Z, and go to Spotify. Reckless Sports Podcast will be the name. We'll try to have the goal as of right now. It's tentative. Is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show. Will be sports related. We'll be going over whatever. It'll be me and Connor going over all the sports. Tuesdays and Thursdays will be me, Connor, and our friend Joey, who's also a founder of Reckless Sports. We'll be going just over life stuff and just anything. We'll take in questions from previous episodes, try to answer a few. So if you have any kind of questions or comments, especially on the YouTube, you can type them in the comments below. We'll try to get to them if they're sports related the next Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then if it's just life related or questions about anything we're doing, we'll go get those on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll try to keep these under an hour long, each podcast. Some might run a little longer, some may be short. But yeah, that'll try to be the schedule for now. And yeah, I guess we'll see y'all here again on Monday, as this will be up Friday before all this happens. And we'll go over and everything on Monday and see how wrong we were.
Yep. So we'll see y'all next time.